Now the second loop we're going to focus in on in the PHP lesson here is the do loop, and that one is going to change it up a little bit. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to copy the while and the condition that I had from the previous loop, and so I'm just going to actually cut it out. I'll use Control X to cut it out and just type in the word do instead, and you'll see do is a key word. We'll do, we're going to echo out counter. Echo is going to also put a break in there, as well as we're going to decrement it. So we've got that basic structure there. Now the condition doesn't get checked until the end, and so at the very end of my curly brace I'm going to paste in that while counter is greater than or equal to 1 and end that with a semicolon. I'll just space this down so you can get a good look at the do loop, and there's the basic structure of the do loop. So what happens here, and this is what's so different about the while loop, is we're going to do the code first. And so if we look down, once line 6 is executed on my page, counter is going to hold the value of 100. We're going to come to line 7 as the code is being read. It's going to come to line 7 and it's going to say do. So then it will immediately go to line 8. It's going to echo out counter first without ever checking any condition. It's going to echo out the word or the number 100 in this case. It will then execute a break or echo a break tag. It will then or decrement counter by 1. And then finally it will check the condition. So what happens with this particular loop is it does all the work first and then checks the condition to see if it needs to do the work again, to see if it needs to have another iteration of the loop. And so now that I'm here, it's going to say while counter is greater than or equal to 1. And in this case counter is 100, so it is going to be greater than or equal to 1. And so with that being true, it will then send it back up to the do line number 7 and then repeat it over and over and over again. It's still the same principles apply. You have to have a counter in there that's going to either increment or decrement in order to end the loop eventually. If I hit save and I hit refresh, you'll see that it looks and gave me pretty much the same results that I had before. The only difference is the fact that the counter itself doesn't check until the end. And so in fact, if I remove the equal sign on this particular one, and I'll go ahead and hit save, let's see if it shows number 1 this time. I'll refresh it again and come all the way down, and you'll see that it stopped at 2. So let's go ahead and figure this one out. So it says while counter was equal to 100. So if counter was 2 at the moment, then it's going to go through here and do this. It's going to echo out counter. It will echo, so it'll echo the 2. It'll echo the break. Counter will then, currently which was 2, will now decrement by 1, so it'll be now 1. And then at this point in the loop, it's going to say while 1 is greater than 1, and so in that case it will not display 1 here at the very end. So it just depends on the way that the loop is structured. It kind of is going to depend on how it's set up to determine what is going to actually be displayed here. Okay, and that will complete the video here on the do loop within PHP.